Hey Maggie, so just looking at some of your neighbor's trees here, we've got this top heavy laurel oak that's all the weight's going towards the house, and these trees have really bad roots. Also, this one's also got some cankers, which are just culminations of dead cells, just signs of decline on the tree. The tree just kind of looks like it's in decline in general, and it's just going to continue growing for the southern sun over the house. So that's one that I would definitely remove. Moving east over here, we've got another large laurel oak. Laurel oaks are just not really great to have near houses in general, but this one looks pretty proportionate, so it's of a lesser concern for me. But you've got a few long limbs that are they look a little bit questionable. There's some cracking on the bottom sides, and they look a little bit sparse as well. I know it's that time of year, but even considering, so I would remove probably this large lead and that one as well, going out this way if it was my house. And then also there's some branches that are kind of going out this way that are really long and uniform. When you have a long uniform branch like that, you get a lot of weight where it connects on the main juncture. Ideally you have a nicer or like a nicer sized connection at the main trunk that tapers off. So there's a handful of branches over here that look fairly well at risk for snapping. Coming up over here, this tree is kind of tall and top heavy. It could really go either way. The wind blows, they've got really bad roots, and it's disproportionately skinny due to all the crowding that it's had to compete with. So this, if this was my house, I would take this tree out as well. And then this tree, these are both laurel oaks, another laurel oak that's leaning, just going out over your house, and is tall and lanky. So if that was mine, I would remove it as well. I'm not just a gung-ho tree killer. I do love trees, but unfortunately most of the ones that you guys have out here are the worst trees that we have to deal with in this area. Again, you've got another, it looks like a red oak here. You got some long lanky limbs. The tree is dormant. It's a deciduous tree, so it's not going to have leaves this time of year. I can't tell if it's dead or not. I see some dead branches that should be trimmed, and some, because red oak has a really brittle timber, it's more important to get those limbs, where they have the really thin connection at the main trunk there. Coming around, you've got this other laurel oak here that is tall, lanky, and leaning, and when it gets its foliage, it's going to be a little bit top heavy and wind resistant. If this was my house, I would remove that as well. These two over here seem to be leaning away from the house, so those aren't as much of a concern. This tree here, you've got a mistletoe infestation, and it's also at the end of its life expectancy, and it's doing a hard lean right over your house. It's got some competition on this side, so it's going to continue to reach for that spot of southern sun over your house. I would highly recommend removing this tree. Combined with the bad roots being at the end of its life expectancy, and then just the proportionality of where all the weight is and where it's going to want to go, would be a very high recommendation. Coming around over here, you've got, it looks like a turkey oak or a red oak that's just dormant right now. That tree looks pretty good. These trees look pretty good as well. Nothing's doing really a hard lean towards your house or too particularly top heavy. And then coming around, I see just maybe one right here that I would consider removing. And then I would take maybe, oh no, that's a live oak on the backside. So that live oak, that's good. Let me just check this junction. These are really sturdy trees. They've got strong timber and strong roots. But yeah, this one, it's getting a little bit up there in age, and I imagine when the leaves come back in spring, that's going to be fairly top heavy, and it is leaning right kind of in this general direction. Let's see, the lean. Yeah, you can see the lean from back here. So the lean kind of goes out that way. This is a live oak. The junction looks pretty good. You've got a little bit of bark inclusion going on here, but it's really minor. Not to be a concern, really, a very minor concern. So this tree is good. I would leave that alone. And then this tree over here is pretty top heavy and doing a pretty substantial lean kind of out over your driveway towards your garage. If this was my tree, I would remove it as well. And then you've got a couple lanky limbs that I might remove. None of this is, most of this is not dire. Oh, here's those mistletoe clusters you can see on that back tree. So these little sphere. Let me see, where's my finger? It's hard to point. There's like little spherical clusters in this, tightly patterned spherical clusters in the center of the tree. So that's what I was talking about there. That's parasitic, and you can't, once it's on the center of the tree like that, you can't get it out because it has long tendrils. So that tree is gonna at least have to be hacked up to get that cut out of there, but I would take that tree out anyway. And then yeah, looking at the degree of lean from this tree, I would take that as well. And then you should still have some nice trees around the perimeter that are fairly uniform, and they'll have a chance to fill out a little bit better. But my name is Nolan. My company is True Cut Tree Service. We're 5-star rated, fully insured. My number is 352-318-7383. I'm happy to come out and meet with you and discuss risk and prices and feasibility and logistics. Thank you.